philosophy. Traditionally, what instructors like to do at times is get a position and dissect it, talk about its details, working from there. But today's lesson, again, is the philosophy of controlling tempo. Just like grip control is so important, whoever gets the first grip at times has an offensive grip versus a defensive grip. And or if he's controlling my collar, for example, he has an offensive grip. I'm on a defensive grip defense. So he has placed me into a defense. Now, taking ourselves a step out of that and talk about tempo of rolling, there is also offense and defense. The tempo of rolling is I've done an offensive move and I've transitioned, for example, and I already know 3 moves, for example, perfectly in the next position. So my mind allows me to react immediately. Instead of doing an offensive move, pausing, breathing, and waiting for your opponent to react. So those are 2 different philosophies. You can do that. I know sometimes we do that, especially if we have anxiety or butterflies in our stomach, we're facing someone stronger, more explosive. And that's playing defensive. And at times, it is effective. But you don't have to play like that. So, if we understand the philosophy, we then need to know what transitions there are. Memorize them, perfect them. If it's 2 or 3, if you can perfect those 2 or 3, it's going to take you a long way. Then you have secondary attacks, etc. from there. So our job for today's lesson is just understanding the offensive tempo and defensive tempo. Defensive tempo involves doing an offensive attack and then pausing and waiting for a reaction, what type of reaction there is. Whereas offensive tempo is I've done the offensive attack and I immediately react because I already know what position I'm already in. I know what hands are there, what is happening, where my legs are, etc. So I immediately react from there. So today's lesson wasn't necessarily focusing on the physical attributes of the technique, but more of the philosophy behind it. We worked from the double underpass. The controls we worked on is controlling the pants with our hands, controlling the pants. So if I'm in this position, what's going to happen is, we talked about the first stage of elevating. Sorry, Mr. Mike, I may have reclothed you for a second there. Rocking to both sides. Rocking. And as you can see, they're reacting. So I'm controlling the tempo. I'm in offense, he's in defense. When I rock, eventually what's going to happen is we will creep up higher and higher. And every time he pushes back, we creep up higher and higher. And notice it will reach a point where we can pivot, place our chest into him, using our knee as well. If Mr. Mike drives back into me, there's the wall. There's the wall. So basically, we switch the side, and we control, and we're passed. That was the first stage. Understanding the rock the boat motion. Second stage is we already know a transition. So we're controlling the tempo, and we know there are transitions in my mind. I know the reactions they're going to do. I immediately apply it. I do not wait for the reaction. So I'm here, up, I rock. So I know they're going to push back into me. When he does, I switch over to the leg drag, and I pull through, getting it in between my legs, stabilizing, driving forward, pressure, pivoting, working to the back. That was the second stage. The third stage, guys, is when they defend, we do a leg pass and or we rock the boat, and they place their arm to defend. We're here. Mr. Mike, can you place your head here, please, Professor Mike? Thank you. Pant leg, drive to one side. They're going to push back. I already know that. I pull through. I drive. Yes. I'm trying to create space. So I push forward his weight. So if I pull back here, he has power. If I can get the arm to cross his chest, it collapses. Now it's trapped in between my ribs and his ribs. Clasp, figure 4 grip, wrist attack, and we finish. Same thing applies if we were doing the rock the boat motion. So again, the idea for today's lesson is controlling the tempo, feeling it out. You don't have to wait for your opponent to react and or your partner to react, but you get to choose what you want to work from there. Let's get in some rounds. Yes?